Hi, this is Alex from BikeMatters. I'm here at Cam Rider in Harleston. I've done my CBT here. I've passed my theory as well, so I'm well up and ready to go for the full Category A license. Let's see how I get on.
Okay, hi Alex, it's good to have you back again.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I hope you remembered everything from your CBT.
I think so, hopefully.
Good. Okay, well today we're going to be moving on towards your full bike test, and we're going to be doing it in two parts. We're going to start doing the off-road stuff, your Mod 1, and then we'll be doing a little bit of road work, helping you move towards your Mod 2 as well, which is your road ride out with the examiner following you.
Cool.
We've carried out our CBT, and really the CBT is just there as something between nothing at all and training for your motorcycle test.
Right, yeah.
So really further training is needed, and of course this is a very, very good way of doing it, taking yourself up to the next level.
Yeah.
Regrettably for the youngsters below 24 years of age, it becomes a little complicated that they can't progress straight to one of the larger motorcycles.
Yeah.
So once you've progressed past the age of 24, you can use the direct access and go straight for the larger licenses. There is a method of circumventing that just a little bit. You can qualify for an A2 license a little earlier and gain your full license a little earlier, but it's all just a little bit messy by comparison to that of car drivers.
Yeah, you pass your license and then you're done, you're set.
Absolutely.
Any car is basically yours.
Just a little bit more complex to get your full license as a motorcyclist.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to have a little look at the course that we've set out here. I regret that we're on a fairly restricted area here, so it's not going to be quite as it's resembled when you actually see it at a test centre. Yeah. So here we go. We've got our slightly bigger bike. She's a little bit different, T125.
Yeah.
So the first thing you're going to notice is, needless to say, she's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And she's a little bit heavier. So she's going to need some bigger tyres and bigger wheels to support the weight and the power that we're now using, opposed to the old 125. So basically it's the same thing. All of the points of control are going to be the same. You've just got a slightly bigger machine. So what you've got here, the engine's a little bit lower down, and it's more in line with the axles of the motorcycle, so you tend to find you get a lower centre of gravity.
Okay.
And although she's bigger and heavier, she's going to feel a lot better balanced than the 125 that you've been using recently.
Okay.
You're going to find that we've got some pretty meaty stoppers at the front there. So we've got some awesome stopping power up the front with now twin discs rather than our single disc on the old 125. And at the back we've got disc brakes as well, opposed to the old drum brakes.
Yeah.
So we have very, very effective brakes. So all of the lessons we learned during the CBT about bringing the brakes in gently and effectively, we're going to need to apply them here too. The dashboard has now moved up. We've now got a dashboard that's digital, and we've got a lot more information provided for us on the dashboard. An awful lot of it you can refer to the user manual, but all of the regular things that you're going to be needing, like your speed, your rev counter. We've got no gear selector on here, but you've still got a neutral indicator telling you you've selected neutral between the gears.
Okay.
So all of the information's there, and we've got a dashboard that's more akin to that of a motor car. We're going to get several displays up we didn't have previously, things like oil pressures and oil warnings and things like this. We've also got ABS on this, which we didn't have on the 125.
Can you do it like if you were to bring your own bike? If you say I was to have my own?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could do it
you
with
can provide your own motorcycle. It simply has to be roadworthy, in a roadworthy condition, and taxed and insured by yourself. Yeah. So from there we'll have a little bit of acclimatisation, we'll have a little play with the bike and just get you up and running, a bit like we did with the CBT, some nice slow stuff just to get you in the frame of things, and then we'll progress on to some of the slow speed manoeuvres here in our training area.
Cool.
And we'll start off with simple manual handling, progressing through slalom, figure eight and U-turn.
Sounds good.
We'll go through the Mod 1 in the same order as it is on the test day. So I'll cover the manual handling, slalom and figure eight, slow control, U-turn, and then some info on the high speed manoeuvres. I'll have a few tips on each one and what helped me pass on the day as well. Manual handling. So I was looking at keeping an A-frame with the bike here, with the control through the handlebars but weight through the seat. It depends on which bike you're riding, of course, but you should have this down already. On my Mod 1 test, the girl who had hers before mine was taking her time with moving the bike, as there's no real time limit. Of course, keep up your observations and look around as if you're moving your bike from one drive to another and you're checking down the road for traffic. It's simple enough, really.
So she's running a bit high at the moment because she's cold. The idle will come down in a minute or two, all right? And then you really will need to have to keep a few revs on. You're thinking she's big and powerful, she will stall quite easily because of the short stroking engine. Yeah. So whenever you're ready, pop her in gear.
I spent a bit of time here just playing around with the CB650F, just getting used to the clutch, the brakes, the weight, the tyres, the throttle control, just the bike in general really. Note as well that Jim did say the choke is more open when the bike is cold, so that means that if it stood outside for a while before your Mod 1, it may have to warm up with higher revs before dropping back down to normal levels. Of course, you're going to have to adjust your throttle control accordingly on test day.
How's it feeling?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
It's looking nice. You want to have a go at the slow stuff?
Yeah. Slalom and figure eight. Now, good control of the bike is key here. Jim did notice I was a bit tense and wooden or rigid, which I did have to work on to just help get the bike around the cones and let the bike do a lot of the work. For the figure eight, Jim said to look ahead at where I wanted to be going and get my head around early. So as you go around one cone, you're already looking at where you want to be. Stay nice and loose up top with your head on a swivel, don't rely on the rear brake too much and keep the revs nice and high. All in all, that should help bring your turns in nice and tightly.
So yeah, that was slalom, bit of figure eight there as well. It felt good. I mean, the most important thing for me to remember is going through the slalom, you're just trying to carry that momentum. You don't want to be sort of gearing in for the left and then the right. You want to just make it nice and smooth to go through, which is what I'm trying to focus on. Obviously then going into the figure eight, I try and take it a little bit wider to give myself a bit more room to sort of go around the figure eight cones. And it's just what I'm trying to focus on, at least, is dropping my shoulder, stay nice and loose on the bike, giving us a load of revs and, you know, good clutch control, just to keep that stability and let the bike do most of the work for turning around. I did get kind of close to the sort of inside cone there, but I did have a quick look, which I shouldn't really do because then I'm focusing on it and more likely to go into it. But it's going good. It's going good. It's just trying to focus on keeping that throttle control there and the old stability from just nice clutch control as well. Trying not to rely on the rear brake too much either, because that will want the bike to slow down and tip in too much. So a few bits to focus on there.
So you're then going to be going into the last of the slower manoeuvres. The examiner will signal you over to him and you can take as much space as you need to get over to him and make sure that you're set up for the slow control. On test day, you should be feeling nice and settled at this stage, so just remember to keep your lifesavers and observations going.
That's it. Go from a standing start and do your observations before you pull away. Keep your revs up as well. Let me hear it.
Slow control, so head up, get your observations in, and then set off calmly and keep good control of the clutch with consistent revs. Of course, don't be afraid to put the revs in here, let the clutch do a lot of the work. The bike will naturally want to go forward, so you don't need to be too rigid up top and just let the bike do the work. This goes straight into the U-turn, so make sure you do come into a nice controlled stop in the box indicated by the examiner, ready to go for the U-turn.
So the slow control, I find that myself the most easy, because you just stay nice and upright on the bike, giving it enough revs. and just hold in a good speed. I mean, Jim's always saying to me that it's about walking pace. You don't have to go any faster or slower than that. You don't want to push it too far and go 1 mile an hour because it's just going to make it too difficult. But if you keep a good, say 3-4 miles an hour or something like that, when you go in a nice sort of good walking pace, obviously the instructor on the day isn't going to be looking at you and walking alongside you to give you that pace. You've just got to set it yourself. So just making sure that you keep nice and stable, nice and steady, obviously head upright and looking ahead so that you're not focusing on what's going on below you. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward to do the old slow control going into the U-turn.
So the U-turn, something that's a pain to many on test day. Of course, it's lifesaver, set off, lifesaver to check again, then set the bike and commit to the U-turn. Don't merge your lifesaver and turn in at the same time, as you could unsettle the bike and make it more difficult for yourself. I was close to the cone on the first attempt and far too close to the barrier on the second, which you can enjoy here.
Ooh, close, close. I'll do it on the tarmac. Probably gonna help.
U-turn, take 2. So I'll admit the U-turn was something I needed to work on the most, but it did get there. Now on the U-turn, some instructors will ask you to drag the rear brake as well. This should not be the objective to do that all the time, as a smooth U-turn without dragging the brake is a great objective to have. Surprisingly, I found that a bit more speed on the U-turn really did help with less on the rear brake. So really just get your shoulder down, look right over that shoulder and make sure you're keeping the revs nice and high to send power to the rear wheel and then tighten the turn. Try and look where you want to go, of course, rather than that line, because otherwise it'll get a bit target fixation and you'll go straight over it.
So the U-turn, it was all right, it was not too bad. I think, again, with this one, you don't want to rely on the rear brake as much as I want to in a way. You want to sort of carry enough speed, again, stability from the engine with enough throttle, which is, again, if you don't have enough throttle, you will want to tip in, and that's where your foot will come down, which can be a fail. So just trying to keep it nice and steady, nice and fluid on the old U-turn.
About keeping the revs up as well, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is one of the key things to remember on the old Mod 1, is that if the revs aren't there, the bike isn't going to be there either, and you're going to be wanting to sort of tip to either side. But if you've got the revs there, then the engine's going to want to be going, which means the bikes want to be upright or at least stable. So obviously here on this site, we can't practice the high speed maneuvers just because we just don't have enough room, unfortunately. So off site, we were practicing the controlled stop, the emergency stop, and then obviously the obstacle or hazard avoidance as well. So with these, obviously the most important thing to focus on is when you're taking that nice big right hand or left hand turn that you're going to do, you carry a good amount of speed through there. Jim's instructed me really to take it round in seconds, so that when you come out, you've still got enough revs and enough torque to then get up to a good speed. When you go through the speed trap, you're meant to be carrying at least 50 kilometers an hour, which is about 32. Obviously on a bike like this, it's quite easy to get to, but at the same time, you've got a lot of other things to focus on. So trying to keep the good speed through makes it a lot easier when you come out of that turn to then go through the speed trap. Obviously the first one is the controlled stop. So with that one, you don't actually have to go around at any particular speed. You can take it whatever you want, but again, what we try and look at with Jim is going through at the recommended 50 kilometers per hour or 32, and then you can just say to the instructor, just out of curiosity, what was the speed that I was going through, so you can treat it as a trial run. But obviously after that, you then go into the sort of box to stop the bike nice and calmly in there within the cones. Straight after that, you go into the emergency stop. So again, you're carrying a good speed around through the speed trap, and then you're waiting for the instructor to signal with the arm in the air, and from then you straight away roll off the throttle, front brake in, and that's what you're really focusing on, sort of gradually increasing the pressure on the front brake, then a bit of the rear brake, and right at the end clutch in so that your engine braking can do all of the work up until the stop. When you are then stopped, a few observations, looking around just to make sure everything's safe, and the instructor will then of course allow you to proceed on. The final one after that is the hazard avoidance, which is the exact same, carrying a good speed around 50 kilometers per hour through the speed trap. Then you see the cones dotted out. I'm sure we'll be able to cut onto screen about how it looks. And you're going around one cone, back in to avoid it, and then you're set on your way. And then obviously bring it to a nice controlled stop at the end. After that, the Mod 1 is effectively complete, but it doesn't stop because the instructor is still making sure that you can safely negotiate around the course and do all of your observations and stuff like that to pull back into the test center and park up and finish. So going to do a few more practice runs around here, and after that, hopefully we can get the Mod 1 done.
Now with Jim's help, I managed to pass my Mod 1 first time with no minors. I was absolutely chuffed to bits. A huge thank you goes out to everyone at Cam Rider, of course, so Jim, Jan, Alan, Byrne, and the whole of the Cam Rider team. Couldn't have done it without you. Of course, give them a try if you're looking at any bike testing or your CVT. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out if there is someone nearby for you. The Mod 2 video is going to be on the way soon, so just keep an eye out for that one. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if this has helped you. I'll reply to as many comments as I can if you've got any questions or tips or anything like that. Give us a like and of course subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when our next video goes up. Hope this helped and cheers for watching.